Do me a favor. If you're ever in the middle of building a shop or starting a project and you think to yourself, I know there's a right way to do it, I'm just not going to do it that way. Stop and hire somebody else to do it for you. Because if you're not going to do it the right way, kind of like this wasn't done the right way, someone like me is going to have to come along in a few years' time, uncover your mistake, and spend all of their quarantine weekends redoing everything. Do it the right way the first time, and then someone like me won't have to come back behind you and fix all of your mistakes. Thank you. I don't think the floor in this shop is ever going to be the same again. Alright, so many of you are wondering what happens when you let these little guys grow into one of those big guys. This. Alright, so during this whole project, I have been racking my brain about why they did what they did. There's literally no reason that I can come up with of why you wouldn't connect one existing slab to the new slab. I know it's good practice not to actually mesh them together. You need to have an expansion joint and things like that. But to leave a 9-inch gap between two slabs is just not the right way to go about doing things. On top of that, to have a landfill inside of the wall, inside the shop that you've just enclosed, is not the proper way to do things. So the only theory that I have as to why they built this up and out the way that they did was They probably mismeasured one of these walls and started setting it first when they first poured this slab. This wall right here is part of the original shop. It's just the front left portion of my shop now. They built all the way around it later on. So this is the back section. They built all these walls in addition to this at a later date. And when they set the trusses up top, you can tell that the seal plate on the original wall right here was in its proper location, and they pretty much shifted all those trusses out this way to where they're barely hanging on. They've only got about 1.5 inches of engagement on the top of the seal plate, which is why you see these 2x4s, I believe, why you see these 2x4s up here, because they thought maybe setting those up on the concrete wall would give it an additional place to have load-bearing capacity of a truss, which again is not how you do things. So that's the best thing I can come up with, was maybe their solution was to build this kind of like an elevated footer, and then they were going to build a wall to kind of connect with a top plate or a seal plate kind of coming off of this wall. We're going to do something similar, but not anytime soon, I don't think. This is, like every project around here, already taken way too long. We've spent about 1.5 weeks busting out all of this concrete, and we've gotten to the point now to where we have kind of a game plan going forward. So the main thing for this project to accomplish was to prevent mud from staying inside the shop and to fix this gaping trough of never-ending source of mud from accumulating as well. Again, there's no reason why you would ever have a 9-inch separation in slabs between old and new, unless you were planning on putting in a drain. Now that I could see. Aside from all of this other stuff that was done completely improperly, the truss is set too far out, completely done improperly, landfills in the wall, done improperly, a raised footer wall, done improperly, I can almost see a reason for the trough, except the slab was poured with a slope that way. So anytime that I do any kind of pressure washing or cleaning up the floor in here, all the water goes this way. And I have thought about putting a drain in this shop. I would absolutely love to be able to just spray everything and squeegee it all into a drain and have it go out the shop and dry very quickly. Don't think that hasn't crossed my mind. But with the water going this way in the shop, it just wouldn't make much sense for me to constantly have to battle and squeegee everything up here. Plus, it would take even longer than it already has for me to figure out the slope and get everything set right with the base and the drain, and then concrete all that in smooth. Which presents another problem. These slabs are at different heights. So that slab right there is about 3.5 inches higher than this slab. Again, absolutely no reason for it. I don't know if they laid them that way. I assume they did, because there's actually a cap block making the difference in this back wall over here. So it's just shoddy work all the way around. I mean, 1 or 2 mistakes you can kind of see and forgive, but it's just one after another. So what we're going to end up having to do is, I thought about just filling in this trough and troweling everything smooth with concrete. That will be great, but there's a bunch of rough edges, and then I don't want to deal with separation issues when it comes time to that concrete curing. There's 2 things concrete does really well, and that is get hard and crack. To help prevent that, I've dug the separation between the 2 slabs out about 6 inches, and I wanted to go a little bit deeper than that. In some places it's probably 4, which is, for most things, is fine, but I like to overkill. So that's kind of where we're at. What we're going to end up doing is, I think I have a game plan going forward, in that we're going to build kind of like a sidewalk. That's the best thing that I have come up with. Along with the pier supports with the Sono-Tubes over there, we might form up a little bit and then actually pour kind of a foundation wall before we start putting bricks on it. That way it's just solid concrete supported by the piers that are going 2 feet in the ground. But what we have to do in here to make it look halfway decent, I've spent about 2 days thinking this over. Right here in the front of the shop, these slabs are fairly level. Back over there, they're about 3.5 inches out. So this corner right here is 3.5 inches higher than this corner over here. So for me to make that look halfway decent, I basically need to build a raised sidewalk, if you will, all the way down. The bad thing is this thing is not perfectly, 7 or 8 inches. It's about a foot to 13 inches right in here. And then it kind of just meanders about the, again, edges of the forms. I don't know why you can't build a straight form, or these people couldn't build straight forms to pour everything into. So it makes no sense to me, but I'm having to deal with it now. So what we're having to do to fix all of this, the best that we can, is to basically build a 2x4 form to go all the way down 2 feet off the wall, 3.5 inches of concrete on top of the existing concrete. That's thick enough to where we won't have any bonding issues or anything like that when it comes to putting new concrete on old concrete. Plus we have the 6 inches that go below the slab. And that basically gives us a 9 to 9.5 inch, footer, if you will. It's not a footer, but a beam of strength to kind of help stiffen everything up. Not that it matters, but that way we have enough concrete below the grade, and we have 3.5 inches of concrete above the grade to prevent cracking. So the 4 to 6 inches below provides support for the concrete that's already been poured, kind of prevents additional shifting, if you will, or at least I hope it will prevent additional shifting in the future. And then the 3.5 inches on top prevents any kind of delamination between old and new. So we've got to get this concrete cleaned up as best we can, and then we're going to set our 2x4 form on its side, and then anchor that to the ground 2 feet off the wall. And then we're going to pour an entire little mini sidewalk slab section right here, and then trowel that smooth. How we're going to fix the wall. Now, I originally had planned on fixing this back wall all the way down. That was the whole reason for cutting everything out and chipping everything off. The problem with that is once you get close enough to the actual existing bricks, it either chips not enough or it chips into the existing brick. So that's not something I want to mess with per se. I would love to get this thing all just smoothed over and then put a little skim coat of mortar and just make it look really good and smooth, and then paint the whole wall and make it look uniform. But I don't think that's in the cards because of how jacked up this was to begin with. So I think what we're going to end up doing is after the sidewalk little area is poured. That was a big boom. After the sidewalk area is poured and cured, so it's going to be a while, I'm probably not going to tackle that back wall for quite some time. We've got most of it up close enough, as much as we can, and then we're probably going to build another form about 4 inches off, and just basically fill that full of concrete, and that way it's solid concrete. It doesn't have any barrels, oil, coffee cans, paint cans, trash, dirt, mud, debris building up the void. I just want it solid concrete, and I think that'll look halfway decent, at least a lot better than it did. And if I want to, because there is a difference in this back wall in the original shop and this new little extension wall over here, it looks like they kind of prepped for the ability to throw a 2x4 wall up, and I'm probably just going to keep it about right here. After I come off from the bottom about 4 feet, that's what that is, come out about 5 inches, fill it full of concrete, wait for that to dry and cure, and then build a 2x4 wall all the way down. That way it'll be a lot easier for me to add a bunch of outlets in. I don't know if I'm actually ever gonna do that. It's on the list. So I'll probably think on it a few more weeks or months or years, and then decide to do that maybe in a future video, maybe in a future project. But for right now, we've got to get this mud encased in concrete. and we got to fix that back wall over there and get that re-blocked in. That's the name of the game, and we got to get going on all that so we can actually have a sealed-in shop, dry from the weather, the elements, and free from all of this garbage. So we're going to get busy doing that tomorrow because I got to go to the Home Depot and buy some supplies. So thanks for hanging in there. Hope you enjoy this stuff. I know it's not building cars, but it's work, and I enjoy work. So I enjoy doing things in the shop, and this is still part of doing things in the shop, even if I'm working inside and outside the shop. So it's fun for me. Hopefully it's fun for you, and let's get busy. I got to show you guys something. There's about 3 to 5 deer that come around here every night. And like clockwork, they've arrived. I've just changed shoes. I was shutting all this stuff down, getting ready to go inside and store all this on the computer to edit at a later date. And there's 3 deer about 100 feet away. So come on. That's fun. Yeah, so we're going back to original plan of seeing you guys tomorrow. I hope you enjoyed that. It's pretty cool watching nature come around here and feast on the overgrown grass that I haven't cut because I've been in here and with you. So see you tomorrow.